From Bosstrack, it's Her HypeSquad, a show about amazing women who've made incredible strides as leaders in their industry. They're here to support you in your leadership growth, to encourage you and hype you up as part of your Hype Squad. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Her Hype Squad with Bosstrack. I'm your host, Michelle Harris. In this episode, I talk with Courtlyn Jones. Courtlyn and I talk for a little bit about challenges she faced in the workplace as a creative, and then we move on to how she's building connection and community with her startup. She offers tips on networking and provides some great advice for finding happiness in your life. Before we jump into the conversation, let's talk about just who is Courtlyn Jones. Courtlyn Jones is a New York City-based graphic designer and visual artist, and she's the founder of the Design Database, a women-owned, leading membership-based marketplace and community for female and non-binary freelance creatives working in visual arts. As a creative herself, she understands the struggles of feeling underappreciated in the workplace. She left her 9-to-5 job to not only build her dream career, but to help other artists do the same. Her platform bridges the gap in gender parity by providing a safe space for female artists to meet higher quality clients, connect with fellow creatives to build community and gain mentorship, and sell their physical artwork to new customers. To really understand what the Design Database is, just think Fiverr meets Vistaprint. And just one last thing before we get started. I wanted to explain the audio and video for this podcast. We experienced some last-minute drilling on the floor above us, so I had to move the recording outside, which means our connection wasn't 100%. So I just wanted to explain the audio along with any dogs or voices you might hear in the background. But aside from a few little interruptions, I know you're going to enjoy this conversation with my friend and founder, Courtlyn Jones. Hi, Courtlyn. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so happy you've decided to be on our podcast, and we're looking forward to everything you have to share with us today.
Thank you. Happy to be a part of this with you.
Well, we did give an introduction to the audience before the discussion, but I'd love for you to explain who you are in your own words, what you do, your background, and all that.
Okay, sounds good. I will start, I guess, with saying that I am an artist first. I have spent my entire life drawing and painting. It's just been who I am for the last 20, well, now I just turned 30, so now I'm 30, but my whole life has been about art. But most recently, I am now a founder. As of last year, I started my own company called the Design Database, and it is a platform to help other artists, other female artists, find jobs and community amongst other creatives, to empower them and to have them earn higher wages, meet better clients that will actually pay them their worth, which is a huge issue in the industry, having our creative females be paid less than males, unfortunately. So I've been building that company for the last year and I think 4 months now. So we're still pretty new, but we are already having amazing traction, amazing PR. So we are having a lot of growth, and it's just been a really great journey for me.
And I love your story, and I'm so happy that we met. We met as part of a networking group, and we had dinner before we went out for brunch. And I was so happy to hear your background and the journey you've been on. So thank you again for coming on. Well, I'd love to know, so you did start out more in a corporate environment before you journeyed out on your own with the Design Database. I'd love to hear, what were some of your experiences in corporate and what made you decide that it wasn't the right environment for you and to kind of venture out on your own?
Yeah, so I was in corporate for about 12 years. But I think I was at the same job for 9 years. And that job was pretty toxic, but it was where I, learned more about who I was. But after I had gone from that job, I moved on to my first real job as a designer. And unfortunately with COVID, I lost a job because of COVID and all the furloughs. So that was, sad for me. But then I got my dream job supposedly, or I got a job that I really wanted at like at a dream company that I had manifested for the last 10 years. And it was a milestone for me to hit it at that 10-year mark. Unfortunately, that company was not what I thought it was going to be. And it was actually a terrible experience for me. And that's when I discovered how toxic it is to be a creative. And as a female creative in this industry, I've kind of been blinded by it or from it for so many years. Like I just thought, because I was so young that this was how it was meant to be, because I'm still learning. But no, it's just a toxic environment for us creatives. So that made me realize that I needed to get out of the corporate space and do my own thing, because it wasn't for me. I could feel the chest pains coming every day after all of the issues I had with my boss. He was a nice man. He was just very controlling over my designs, over my creative talents. And that was very stifling for me, which made the job not fun, almost painful. And that's really what had me to quit out of nowhere. I tried so hard to make it work. I tried for 5 months. I'm not a quitter. I'm gonna make it work. I couldn't. It was just too bad for my health. So I ended up leaving it in May of last year after starting in January. And that had me really pushed to realize that I meant to do a lot more.
I don't know if you're open to sharing, but before you went to that job and decided that things were not working out, or just it was a more of a toxic environment, are there things that happened? Could you maybe describe a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So before I had gone to that, the main reason why I left my 9-year job, besides being there for a long time, there was a lot of harassment that I was receiving from a lot of the male employees there that really was triggering, disgusting, and it just wasn't safe for me to be there anymore. Really, that was one of my biggest issues with being in corporate. And then also just feeling very controlled by my boss and the higher ups, and just feeling like I wasn't really valued, even though I was there for the longest out of all of my other employees there. And everyone else was fired or laid off. And I was the last standing employee there from the beginning. And they still had me treated poorly. I was paid the least. Again, I was there the longest and I was paid the least, which was insulting. And I worked the hardest. I was there till like midnight. I was there on the weekend because I have a passion for what I do. But to be so underpaid and just so undervalued, it wasn't fair. And when I moved on from that job to my next job, they were much more of a healthy environment and it was happier there. So I was actually sad to lose that job because of COVID, because that was actually where I felt the most valued, I guess, in my field. And then to go from that experience to the worst job that I had my dream company, it just showed that corporate wasn't for me. I just kept hitting these roadblocks, and it was a sign to me that this wasn't, my path anymore.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate you. I know sometimes it's hard to go back and kind of relive experiences. I'm curious, with your last job, with your last manager, what did that look like when, because I know I talked to some people before about experiencing bias and how some people just kind of don't realize, like, it's kind of an underlying thing. Like when you said he didn't appreciate your designs, what did that look like for you? Does that make sense, that question?
Yeah, it does. So when I first was hired for the job, it was a really super long interview process. I had gone through like 5 rounds of it. And at the end, it was only up to me and this other girl who would also apply for the job too. But they told us in advance that this job was gonna pay us less than our actual worth. So that should have been my sign to be like, okay, no, this job is not gonna help me anything. But I was like, no, it's my dream company. I would just let it work. So all of the male employees who applied for the job apparently had backed out, knowing how poorly they were going to be paid. But me and this other girl, we apparently didn't care, and we just decided to push through. So knowing that I was going into this job already being not paid what I deserved was already hard. And then my boss, he was the creative director. I would do my projects, have it go to him for him to go over it, and he would end up changing it behind my back and not tell me, and then have it go to the printer. And I'm like, if you had a problem with it, then tell me so I could have fixed it. But you decided to be kind of shady about it and have me feel like I sucked, and you couldn't tell me the problems. And it was just insulting, because why would you hire me if you didn't trust my design or wanted to have it done yourself? So it was just beyond controlling. And he made it seem like he was so supportive and that he loved me, which I think he did think I was a good designer. I think he just really had control issues and wanted to have it all his designs, but had no time to do it fully. So he had me like do it to like help him get it close to completion, and then he would just change it and make it more of his style, which again was insulting. And that's really what had me just feel like this job was hurting me more than helping me.
Do you think there was discomfort in being able to give feedback or give his opinion to you?
I don't know, because he was very open with his opinion. Like, he would tell me after it was done why he changed it. But I was just like, okay, well, couldn't you have told me this before you changed it so I could have changed it and have it be my design? But he did keep me as the designer on the final project. But I'm like, that's not my design though, so I don't want my name on this project. So, but he seemed really open with sharing his ideas, just not till the last minute after he had already made the changes.
Thank you for sharing. I I'm wondering now, like, if maybe we can move on to better things, which is your experience in starting the design database and your journey so far, and how you dealt with some of the ups and downs you might have experienced so far.
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenges I think of being an entrepreneur is getting that traction. So I was blessed enough to start building my marketing around my company before I built the actual products, because I have a design and marketing background. So I started talking about my issues in corporate on LinkedIn. That's where I started just like ranting a bit and just having my ideas flowing through posting. And my voice and my post captured a lot of other creative attentions, and they flocked to me. So I had about 400 emails from one post on LinkedIn telling me that they agree with what I'm saying about the unfair struggles in corporate as a creative female, and that they wanted to be a part of what it was that I was building. Even though I didn't have anything yet, but I had sold an idea, I sold a dream, and they loved it. So that really fueled me to actually build the product, the platform. And because I hate the sites out there like Fiverr and Upwork who charge large fees for creatives and make actually have our value lower even more with having that chunk of our money taken out. So my platform has 0% commission. So it allows the artist to keep their money, their hard-earned money that they deserve. And I think that I was able to get the first 480 customers onboarded so quickly in the last year because I am able to understand them, because I am one of them. So it's been really awesome to build that connection amongst my customers and my community of creatives. And that's just been what I've been really trying to work on expanding through the last year, because having that traction stable has been a bit of an issue, because I'm trying to always, grow, and my marketing has been great so far, but I have to really push it and accelerate it because I'm trying to reach, a lot more areas in the country, in the world, because I'm trying to build a big platform. And I think now I'm dealing with the whole investor raising funds stage, which is fun, not fun, but you got to push through it. So I've been doing a lot of pitching and a lot of traveling and just being everywhere at once to shine my light and shine a light on my company and what I'm building. And that has helped me to get almost 1,000 new customers onboarded, which is also really great. So now I'm just kind of pushing on with the whole raising money to expand my platform and expand my growth.
Yeah, I was just thinking it might be helpful if to go backwards a little bit. And would you mind explaining what the design database is? It might not be clear. Like I know because we've talked before, but it might be helpful to kind of explain a little bit about the design database to the listeners.
Yes. So we are a platform for female and non-binary artists working working as freelancers. So designers, illustrators, writers, photographers, NFT artists, and so much more, So we are really building a freelance platform that is hopefully going to, kill Fiverr and Upwork, but mine is more of a niche platform. So it's not really competitive space as I guess them, because they are more broad, but we are pitching it as Fiverr meets Vistaprint or even Etsy, because our creatives can find new jobs and new clients to be hired for new opportunities, but can also sell their actual products too. So their prints, jewelry, clothing, whatever they create, they can sell it on site all on the same platform, which is really fun and really awesome to have it all in the same place, to make it easier for them to get more customers, to sell to their other creatives, or also to sell to new clients that are on the platform. And the goal is to just give these artists more exposure and to have them earn more money, because we have been the most underserved community in the creative industry.
So if I'm thinking about if I was a small business or startup or even in a corporate environment and I wanted to have a design work done, is it a space for me to find somebody to do that?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, but then there's more in that they also can offer other things that are not necessarily designed specifically for a business. Maybe something that they created on their own that they want to just sell into the general public.
Yeah, so if you hire a creative for your job, for your company, they can help you on a project. If you also wanted to buy a new portrait for your office, they can also have that done for you too.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So one of the things I know that you are great at is networking. And I'd love to hear your approach to networking and how you've made contacts and how they've helped you kind of move your mission forward. If you don't mind sharing that.
Yeah, so I have joined a lot of groups for female focused entrepreneurs and companies. So I'm a part of, I think, about maybe 11 now, which is a lot to manage and be a part of, because I'm trying to go to so many different events to meet so many amazing women to help me get my brand out there, but also to get me out there and to meet them to see if they need my help, or if I could also use their help. And I started it, I think, with the Entrepreneurs League, where I met you. That was probably my first one I've joined, and then it kind of just became a game for me almost to find how many I can join to really connect with so many people. Knowing me, how I am as a person, I'm I feel I'm always better in person, or I'm better when I'm able to connect with my clients or just anyone directly, so that I can have them see who I am and that I actually have good intentions and good values. And my goal is to really make a difference and not just to make money. And I've also found a lot of great connections through traveling and going to so many different events and conferences. And that also has me gaining really great connections where I'm establishing trust, and they can see that what I'm building is really needed, and that I'm the person that can have it brought to life the right way, because I know what is missing from this industry and from this market that I'm, currently in. And I know my creatives almost personally, because I am one of them, and I can relate so well.
Yeah, so that's amazing. Yeah, we did meet on Entreprenista League. How did you approach just knowing who to reach out to? I mean, I'm assuming you were the first person to reach out in some cases, or was it you'd look for things to respond to and respond to those posts? Like, what was your approach?
I think what I first started doing was going to the events, like the online events. I would kind of hear everyone do their introductions to the group, and to see who they were and what they were building. That's really, I think, what had my antenna up to know, okay, so this person is doing this, so I should talk to her, because I feel like there's a connection here that could help us both. And I was doing that for the first few months. And so with those events, I had about probably 20 or 40 females that I knew I wanted to talk to in the future, if not now. So I had kind of a list in my head to know, like, I'm going to talk to this person in the next, 2 months or so that I can, after I have more traction, and then, I can see if there's a way for us to collaborate or something. And if not, I would go to other groups, because as I said, I'm a part of like 10 or so. So I have other options to go to really keep connecting with so many humans and founders and people. So whenever one is slow, I'll just go to the next one, or I'll go to Instagram, or I would just go to events. So for me, it was always nonstop. I didn't really have any slow moments, because I was just always looking for someone new to talk to at all times.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because one of the things that I really try to enforce with my classes, or anytime I'm in a discussion with anybody, is the importance of networking. And I think there's so much value in, even if you're not starting your own business, but you're trying to develop your professional network for ideas or thoughts on, well, I'm running into this situation, like, what do I do? And I want everybody to realize, like, how diverse the opportunities are out there that they can join in, and they're not all geared towards entrepreneurs. There's a lot of them that are just, people that are career focused and looking to meet other people as part of, accelerating their career. So I appreciate you sharing your networking experience. So in your role in creating the design database, I don't know if you have a team that works for you, if it's contractors. Like, what are some of the challenges that you've run into in leading the people that are working to help you build your company?
One of the biggest ones, I think, is that we're not all in the same place at the same time. I have a contractor who is not even in the US. So obviously there's a time difference, and it can be tricky to have things edited or fixed in time, because he is asleep when I am awake. So that can be a bit of a headache, because I think I'm always trying to be patient, but I also know that I can be very impatient at times, because as an entrepreneur, I'm sure we all know that it is kind of fast paced at times, and things are always changing, and it's really, gotta find ways to keep on top of what I'm doing at all times. So when I can't edit things on my own and he's the only one who can edit it, that drives me insane because I'm like, come on, wake up. But you can't do that because that's not nice to do that. And also it's against their boundaries. So I can't, cross it because I'm being impatient. So that's, I think, my biggest challenge is to just learn to chill for a bit and realize that this is not a fire. Things can always be fixed in the morning or in a few days. It's not the end of the world. But I think that having that time difference has just been a bit of a pain point. But other than that, my team and I have been, I think, have been together doing projects together really well. And I think we work in a way that fits our schedules pretty well. And we're really cognizant of each other's pain points too. So we also know not to bother someone with certain things. And a lot of the time I have to do a lot of things that my team can't do because I'm always, the one who has to put out the fires. So being a leader, it's a lot of pressure to just be in charge of everything. And I'm also kind of working on being better at delegating tasks to my team, knowing that I can also be crazy at times and I'm also kind of picky. So it's a learning curve to know that I need to chill a lot of the time.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. I'm wondering, so with your team, and you said you work really well together, was it just a product of working with each other over time and you just really all kind of got in sync, or was there something that drove that?
In the beginning, it was, I think, more of a struggle for all of us because we were trying to learn each other's way of working. And as I said, because I have times when I can be impatient and I'm always trying to not lose my cool and not yell at anyone because it's not a big deal it's not the end of the world. It's not worth me having to yell at anyone for any reason at all. So, but in the beginning, I have definitely been more, I think, irritable, and I would show that more now that I understand that not everything, can work the way that it's meant to work on the first try. So now that I'm learning that I have to just really be patient. So because I've learned that, we've gotten better at being a team. So I think that it took a few months for us to really just get into this flow of me being chill and of them matching my energy at times and my pace that I want things to run in.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing that it wasn't just all peaches as soon as you started, that it was a process to work through, because I think a lot of people come into a role like that and think they're just going to know what to do. And sometimes it just takes some time to kind of get to know how to work with each other and to even know your vices yourself and where to modify your approach. And I appreciate you sharing that. But I do want to ask too about a delegation. So that's one of the hardest things for people moving into a leadership role is to delegate. Are there some tips you can share that kind of got you through the process of knowing that it was the right thing to do for you?
I would say that I learned how to do it better when I started to make a list of how much I can actually get done in one day. Because I was always thinking that I can do everything because I'm, apparently not human, but I am a human. I can't do everything. That's not realistic. So when I make a list of what I can actually do in a full day's time while still having time to rest and sleep and eat food, that's where I learned to take things out. And when I learned what I couldn't fit into my days, that's when I would pass it on to my team. So it took a learning process because I was kind of being greedy and scared to trust my employees because I was like, I know what I'm doing. I know how I want it to look. I don't know if I can explain it as well as I want it to you, but I'm not able to do it all myself. That's not possible. So having that understanding that I need to pass it on to someone else, that makes it easier for me to do so. And it makes it easier for me to stay organized when I really take time to pick and choose what I'm able to handle for one day and then pass on what I can't to the next person.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. Great advice for anybody listening. Do you have a mentor that you can look back and say you can attribute a certain time period of growth to that really stands out you could share?
Yes, my mentor right now is Tara Spalding. She ran the program that I was in for the Boom Startup program that I was in for the last 12 weeks in June to August. That was where I was doing a lot of like investor mentor training for learning how to pitch to investors. And she was the head of the program. So she helped me to learn how to do my financials for our company and to get all the investor decks in order, and showed me what investors look for and also what I need to focus on for my growth as a founder and for my company's growth too. So she's been amazing. I've known her now for about 4 months, and I actually saw her in person for the first time about 2 weeks ago. And when I had gone to pitch in person to investors at a conference earlier last month, and she was there having me cheered on, and it was really like sweet to have that support. I would tell anyone here that Tara Spalding is amazing, and currently she's the head of the program for We Rock. So if you guys need a mentor, she's also there to help founders over there. I have to figure out what she actually does over there because I'm not sure the actual name of the company, but I will find out and I will tell you guys if you guys need it. But yeah, Tara Spalding is just incredible.
Amazing. And when she became your mentor, did it just develop naturally? Did you seek her out as a mentor? Did she identify you as someone to mentor? Like how did it actually like come about?
In the program that I was in with her, it was only about 3 of us that were female founders. The rest of them were males. So I think that she was kind of drawn to helping us the most in a way because, she understands that we struggle or that we are seen as the ones who struggle more as entrepreneurs, which is not really true, but that's just how, it's been seen for us. So she really brought me into the program knowing that I was the least established out of the group. Like my company was I believe the newest out of the group. And as I was also the only one that's, younger than them. And I'm the only one who was Black. So I think that she kind of saw me as the underdog and wanted to really help me grow because in the beginning of the program, I was doing a lot of stuttering and panicking as I pitched. Because it's hard to pitch. Pitching in front of anybody is hard. And for me, with anxiety, it's very hard. And every week I would come to the program and I would do my best, but I was like shaking, I was trembling. And I think that she really saw me as someone who had great potential and she wanted to really pull that out of me because I was scared and doubting myself. And I feel like she really pulled me more into who I was meant to be. So I'm much more confident now because of her. And I'm really happy that she kind of chose me to be her like little star and pulled me up to where I am now. And I think that having her as a mentor has been really amazing for me as a human, as a person, just for my confidence really too.
Yeah, and I'm sure this might put you on the spot, but you also won an award at the last conference I saw. Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
oh yeah, I'm just so like proud watching everything that you've gone through on LinkedIn. It's amazing to watch. I'd
Thank
love
you.
to, oh, of course, I'd love to switch up a little bit and talk about. It sounds like you've got a really high stress, very active day, week, time as you've been building this company. But is there a routine like that you like? Is there something you have to do in the morning, evening, throughout the day that really helps your overall well-being and helps you get through this in a good positive mental state?
I have to stretch every day to have my body feeling better after having the occasional nightmares that I have because of the stress. So I have to be up in the morning doing my morning routine with my mat to have my body stretched out properly, and I have to go on a walk. I need to be out in nature at least once a day to breathe. Because if I'm in my house all day, feeling like I'm trapped in my own chaos and my my own stress, I will lose my shit. So I need to be outside at least once a day to breathe. Those are my two things: is to stretch and to walk.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that myself, is get out and walk more. I mean, you would think that being here, it would be easy, but you get so wrapped up in the day that it's hard to remind yourself sometimes to do that. So I'm actually starting to be a little more intentional about that myself. So, and now, like you said about feeling stressed and, having those moments, is there any music that you will turn on and play when you just need that extra energy, that boost, or even to have some confidence going into something that you listen to?
I have many playlists for many different emotions. So I think that one of the songs that really helped me to feel powered is Roar by Katy Perry, because that song is just, I think, a big confidence boost. It, it has me feeling really strong and just a feel good song. So I have that, I think, probably in all of my all of my playlists, just because whenever I'm feeling sad, stressed, or down on myself, that song will have me feeling better in like no time. So that's always my go-to.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. I'll listen to that one sometimes when I need that extra energy, extra boost. One of the things that I've been asking lately, just because I think it's very interesting and it's actually produced some really interesting responses, was, is there something like in the last year or two that you bought for yourself, like under $100, like something easy to buy that has really changed your life in some way for the positive?
My journals. I have so many of them now. I became a journal hoarder in a way. Having that and spending every day writing in it to kind of manifest my dream life and what I want to do for my company, for me as a person to grow. Seeing it all written down in my journals has been a life changer, because now I see it. I know what I'm aiming for. I have goals written down about how I'm going to achieve these goals, and that to see the steps that I need to take, knowing, having a clear idea now of like who I want to be as a person, as a founder, knowing that now and seeing it in writing clear as day, that makes a huge change in my everyday life.
I love that you said the word journal. Do you use a type of journal, or is it just blank pages that you'll just write? Like, what is your approach with journaling?
It's always blank because I have so many ideas and I want to have them all. I want to have all of the space that I can. So I'll just have a full blank slate that I just create ideas out of nowhere, and through that I learn more about myself than I've ever known before. So it's been really eye opening to see me in a new light and in writing.
So do you have like standard questions that like when you sit down to journal that you'll ask yourself, or do you just like sit down, have the journal, have a pen, and just like whatever comes to you comes to you?
I don't have any question. It's more in the mornings when I write, it's when I'm doing gratitude journaling to make sure that I am always being aware of what I have and my blessings as what I've been able to achieve so far, my journey, all of the things that, I've been fortunate enough to have in my life, like a home for one thing, a bed that I'm in, like having those small things that are actually big things, acknowledging them and making sure that I, appreciate what I have and, where I currently am at. And I also have my dreams written down too, when I am able to know what they are, because a lot of time I forget my dreams. So when I'm able to not, it's fun for me to have it written down, because I feel like I was meant to still know that dream for a reason. So it's important for me to journal those and kind of see what my mind is trying to tell me in my sleep state.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that myself. My husband can come out of like waking up and he's like, I had this craziest dream, and it's like some elaborate thing and all these details, and it's like 2 minutes after I wake up, I'm just, it's already gone. I'd have to like be like, okay, turn over, grab my pen and paper and just write it all down. I think that I've got to figure out how to like trigger that part of my brain in a better way, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I know we're reaching the end of our time together, but there's one more question I wanted to ask you before giving everybody your information. And again, I don't know how much time you have for this, but is there a book that you've read recently, or maybe a podcast that you listen to, maybe even a specific episode of a podcast that has really helped you recently in some way?
My book is The Alchemist. I have had it read about 4 times now, but I read it again recently, and it's just the best. Like it's really about, hope and having your pain turn into power. So that is kind of where I am now, is learning how to transform myself and to turn my pain into power, and to always just know that I am protected and surrounded, and I can manifest and create my dream life, because I am that powerful. So to have that is just incredible, to have that mindset.
Yeah, that's perfect way to end this. I completely agree. Like when we moved into a smaller space, I got rid of a lot of my hard copy books and bought all the ones that I wanted to keep rereading on Kindle, so I'd have them with me wherever we went. But The Alchemist was the one book, or one of the maybe 2 or 3 books that I kept in like a hardcover book that I could physically hold and read and look at. So it's an amazing book.
It is.
Just lastly, like I said, we're kind of at our time. And again, I appreciate you sharing your story here and spending the time with us. Been looking forward to our discussion I think we've had this scheduled for a few weeks. Where can people find you if they wanted to follow up, ask you questions, reach out to you, kind of hear more about what you're doing? Like, what's the best place for them to find you?
I would say my email maybe, which is cjones at the design database.net, and then my Instagram is courtlyn.jones. So that's really it. So it's pretty easy. I answer back to all of my emails and all of my DMs, so I'm very friendly. So yeah, so reach out.
Great. Is there anything else you wanted to share or kind of leave the audience with?
I just want to say I really appreciate having the time to talk to you today, and I really want to tell your audience that if you're feeling stuck in corporate and you're feeling trapped in where you currently are, take the time to maybe journal or just think about what will actually have you feeling happier in your life, and then make steps to getting there. I learned that from writing down in my journal. If you see it written down, it helps you a lot to just help you get, a clear idea of who you want to be and where you want to go. So that's my advice to you. I hope that it helps. And that's all I have to say.
That's like Great advice to leave, but to end on. So on that note, again, thank you. It's been a pleasure and it's been a wonderful conversation. And I hope to be talking with you soon in the near future.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Hi, everyone. This is Michelle again. Just one more thing before you take off. If you've enjoyed this podcast, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Bosstrack or sign up for our free weekly newsletter. It's easy to sign up and easy to cancel. Every Monday, we send out a short, exclusive newsletter of what we found during the week that we're excited about, we're inspired by, and we're watching and reading. If you'd like to check it out, just to go to thebosstrack.com/newsletter. Just type that into your browser, thebosstrack.com/newsletter. Drop in your email and you'll get the very next one. Thanks for listening.